The next fundamental we're going to focus on is the most important fundamental. That's why I saved it for last. It's called alignment. Alignment is very important in self-defense. Some people call it point shooting, reflexive shooting, instinctive shooting. We're going to call it alignment, because when I started teaching law enforcement this a decade ago, and I used the term point shoot, that's going to hold you liable in a self-defense situation, especially as a peace officer working for an institution. Meaning you're just drawing the gun, pointing at it, generally speaking, and then breaking the trigger. The average gunfight takes place within a 12-foot radius of the shooters. 12 foot. That's an FBI statistic from 2003 to 2013. 12 foot. So if I'm using alignment and I'm focused on driving the gun using my hands and not necessarily the optics or the dots or the front sight alignment, my hands are going to be where the gun is, and the gun's going to be where it's intended to be to break the trigger. Let me demonstrate a couple things for you so you get context of what I'm talking about. There we go. 0.41. My fastest on that's at 0.30. That's one-handed drawing my pistol as fast as I can, aligning the target, 0.40. Next. I was way behind the power curve. About a 0.75, which is just a natural draw, which a draw scope that a law enforcement officer, that's awesome, always, or privy to. Next one. .25. I identify a threat, I see a threat, I engage it. We've got a bracket right now. All right. .17. The average reaction time visually is about 0.23. That's actually fast, but that's the human ability to break a shot based off an audible or a visual recognition. The audible version of that's about 0.17. So we're faster in recognizing sound, which is exactly what I shot, of reacting to sound and breaking the shot. How do you react in gunfights when you initiate a gunfight? You're typically doing it based off visually what you see. You identify a threat, you recognize a threat, you click on the flip the switch to go into a mode fighting for your life. Whatever your protocol is, the switch is flipped. But typically we trade off of audible noises. The whole point of that is to allow you to know and understand that I don't care how fast you are at drawing your pistol from a holster or any configuration. You're not faster than the person pointing the gun at you. You're not. So think about it in the context of you fighting for your life. You're sitting somewhere, you're pumping gas at a gas station with your family inside the vehicle. You're looking at your kid, you're laughing, you're hanging out, your stress is zero. You go to pump gas, a dude walks up to you. You don't even have time to recognize who's walking up to you. He's right in front of you before you even realize it. He has a gun pointed at you from his pocket. He's holding the gun pointed and oriented at your chest in front of your kids. What are your actions going to be if you have to decide to fight for your life? Whatever they will be, it will be slower than him reacting and pulling the trigger and ending your life. 100%. You're a patrol officer, you go off to the driver's side and you go to ask for license and registration and you look down to see their hands and the only thing you see is the barrel of a gun. What is going to be your reactions to seeing the barrel of a gun? So when we have to fight for our lives from an immediate threat, we do so and we think we could defeat the enemy because we train on a flat range. So how do we institutionally understand marksmanship? How do we draw our pistols? When I drew my pistol in special operations, I learned 1, 2, 3, 4. I learned railing the gun from 3 to 4. Why? Because I railed the gun to pick up my front sight as I was driving it to target. Until I realized in combat, I didn't have enough time to pick up my front sight. Everybody take dominant pointing finger and point it at my face. Straight up at my face. Relax. Threat. Relax. Threat. Hold them up. Keep them up. Left eye dominant. Left eye dominant. Left eye dominant. Keep them up. If I bypass you, just drop it. Left eye dominant. Get behind your eye. Or behind your finger. There we go. Left eye dominant. You're not? Nope. You're just weird. You got a weird finger. Change that finger out. All right, so one thing I want you to recognize is that when you drive your finger to me, generally speaking, you're aligned with me. Do it again. Now lift it like a front sight post. Now get my head in focus. Look at my head and see it in focus. Now get your finger in focus. Head, finger, head, finger, relax. Some of you guys are about to stroke out. You're like, all right. The next thing you should have noticed is the latency in time to transition your field of view or focus from target to your front sight, or your finger in this case. That latency is slower than your reaction time. That latency is slower than your reaction time. So there's no point in reality where you can take your gun and transition your field of view from target focus to front sight focus before you get shot in the face and die. There is no time. Now, obviously, there's variables that we can't account for, like the stupidity of the criminal pointing the gun at you, fear, physical variables, etc. But generally speaking, it's been measured that the transition of field of focus or depth of field, if you're a camera nerd, meaning changing my focus depending on the distance of the target, is about 0.30 seconds to say the least. If you're older, if you have bad genetics, if you're just weird, you just add more time. Add more time. I'm 40 years old, so I add time. And I can't transition my field of focus faster than some of these young guys that are doing it in 0.30 minimum. So you don't have the time. So what do we do to make up for it? Well, we have to realize that in the confines of a 12-foot engagement, that you don't need to aim. You just need to point. In this case, you just need to align your body. So let me show you how it works. Let's say this is my target, and I'm building muscle memory, which is aligned with my abilities to drive the gun from one position to another, index it on target, and break the shot. I'll start from the high ready. And now I have to build the muscle memory of my natural point of alignment, or natural point of aim. Well, that was off to the left and low. That was off to the right. Maybe I'll get behind my sights. There it is, right there in the middle. And drive the gun to make up for my alignment and start building the muscle memory of what it takes to be there. If you practice this tactic, you can shoot from 25 yards and point shoot targets. And then the question would be, well, why would I do that? Because I just told you don't have enough time. But is that the end solution? Is that the tactic you apply through the duration and through the cadence? Absolutely not. Because I'm not teaching you to point shoot engagements. I'm teaching you to evolve through the gunfight. So what you did recognize is that you had face focus and then finger focus. Let's call it half a second. In a 5-shot string by shots 3 and 4, your eyes will catch up with the gun. So let's say by shots 3 or 4, you find the front sight. What do you do with that? Do you just continue to point shoot in the chest because that's what you're taught to do? Absolutely not. You upgrade your situation. So it might sound like, it might sound like 1, 2, 3, I got the front sight. Moving the front sight up to the face, 4, 5, behind the front sight on the face, aim small, miss small. The V-notch in their chest, the button on their shirt, the nostril of their nose, the shadowing between their nose and their lips, in between their glasses, on their lens, something that you could aim behind using your front sight. The target's blurry, the front sight now is refined, and I'm finding something. I'm upgrading my situation. So that's called the evolution of a gunfight. So if I had to put it on a t-shirt for you and somebody made it for me, and I've taught this several times and nobody's done it yet, it would be, here's one position. You guys have seen the evolution of ape into man. It's here. It's here. It's here breaking a shot. It's here breaking a shot. It's here breaking a shot. It's here. And it's here with a bad guy laying in a pile of blood and piss. That's what it is. It's evolving your eyes to the gunfight. So, this plays into stitching the target as well. We talked about stitching the target. Stitching the target is I'm reacting to the threat. I'm not aiming because I'm not taking the time, but my eyes will catch up by shots 3 or 4. Then I upgrade the situation by putting them in aiming small, missing small, somewhere on the face ideally. So in that stitch from sternum to head, that will act, or that will be transparent in the target. I'm also shooting from sternum to head in cadence. My cadence doesn't deviate. As you train this, you might outrun your cadence. Slow it down. At the end of it, instead of going, let me follow through each engagement, follow through by asking yourself what you saw. That's how you can be honest with yourself. What did I see? And if the answer is fucking nothing, then go back, slow down your cadence, and be conscious to what you're seeing. This is an example. So I know I didn't see in shots 1, 2, and 3 anything. My shot cadence consistent, pretty slow, 0.20s across the board. But by shots 4 and 5, my eyes found the front sights. And what am I going to do with those front sights? I'm going to put them to work. If the dude's not already dead, I'm putting him to work. This applies to iron sights, to a red dot, to a carbine, to a rifle. If I'm sitting here and a dude rolls up in a vehicle with a gun, am I going to turn this way and go, no, it's boom. Maybe suppression is the tactic initially off the bat. And as I drive the gun, if they're not dead already, I'm going to find that red dot and put it where it needs to be. We're going to train this in 2 different ways. One, as I demonstrated, building your natural point of alignment. I'm going to have you from the high ready, drive the gun, break a shot. Come off. Drive the gun, break a shot. Come off. The coach is going to be observant to where those rounds are impacting. If it's left, hey, you need to go right. If it's right, hey, you need to go left. Hey, you're right on. Boom. Boom. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to stitch the target and evolve through the gunfight. Starting from the high ready. Threat. 1, 2, 3. Find the front sight. 4, 5. And you have to be honest with yourself. This is where you guys will fall off the wagon because you're trying to keep up. You're like, I don't see anything, but I'll just go and check the block. Don't check the block. Slow down your cadence is the only thing you need to do to catch up your eyes. I don't care if it's 1, 2, oh, I see it. 3, 4, 5 in the head. Tracking? Any questions? Remember, in a gunfight, you do not have the time to find your front sight if you're reacting to an immediate threat.